Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today
Mm,
we have lovely Lauren, Dr. Lauren. Am I supposed pronouncing your name right?
Dr. Lauren Tober.
Yeah, Dr. Lauren Tober is here and I will let her introduce herself. I have very high regards to her and I simply love her work.
Oh,
So,
thank,
Doctor, please introduce yourself to my listeners. Thank you for being here.
thank you so much for having me, Sunita.
Yeah.
We met a few years ago when we were both teaching on Nicola Ellis's training, and I came and sat in on your on one of the days that you taught, and I really loved your teaching. So I just love doing it, having this collaboration now. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here.
So a little bit about me. I work as a clinical psychologist and a yoga teacher, both for around 20 years. I'm also a mom. I have two kids, and I live up in Mullumbimby, but near Byron Bay in Australia.
No, it's lovely. Would you like to share with us your yoga journey? Because I'm always curious to know how yoga entered into your life. And the reason for that is I just want my listeners to know that everyone's journey is unique.
Mm.
So, how was your yoga journey and how is it going? Can you tell us?
Yeah. Okay. So I started yoga, I think I was 21, and I was studying psychology here in Australia at ANU in Canberra. And I went on an exchange program to Vancouver in Canada. And I arrived there. I didn't know anybody. It was like a few days before Christmas. So I went from like hot here in Australia to freezing cold in Vancouver and not knowing anybody. And I landed in a youth hostel and I stayed there for a couple of weeks before the semester started. And in the youth hostel, I made friends with one of the guys who was working at the hostel.
Mhm.
And he took me to a yoga class, my very first yoga class in downtown Vancouver. So, I mean, that was it was a long time ago, more than 20 years ago now. And at the time, I haven't been back, but at the time, there were a lot of homeless people in Vancouver. Apparently, Vancouver is one of the warmest parts of Canada, even though it was cold for me as a Aussie. And so there's a big homeless community in Vancouver.
Mhm.
And downtown there was a big community center where they would offer different support to the community, and at the very top of the building, like it was a several stories high building, they were holding yoga classes.
Mm.
And so I went along to this yoga class. It was a Kundalini yoga class. I grew up in the country in Australia, very kind of middle class, mainstream. This was really weird for me in this space. So
That
it was quite dark. There was this kind of fairy lights. Everyone was dressed, or maybe it was candles. I can't really remember, but it was very dark with just some little lights. Everyone was dressed in white with the white turbans. And if you've ever done yoga before and going into a Kundalini class, it's a pretty full on class to start with. And that very first class, I didn't really like it. It was really hard. It was physically very hard and it was very strange. And at the same time, there was something in me that said, yes, this I know that I need to do more of. I want to find out more about. So it was this weird thing of finding it very disconcerting and not like particularly pleasurable. And at the other time, there was something in me that just knew, there's something here for me. And I've kind of been following that thread over the following 25 years.
beautiful. Wow, 25 years. That's amazing.
Really, maybe not. Maybe I'm aging myself more than I should be. Mm.
And how do you find it in relation to your profession, which is, you're a psychologist, and how do you like? Can you find links? Is there benefits? Like, I would like to know a little bit understanding from scientific point of view. If you can talk with us about that, that will be really great.
Yeah, well, I mean, yoga is psychology, isn't it? So there is so much overlap. And at the same time, there's different regulatory bodies in Australia anyway. that don't really see it that way. So we need to be need to be mindful of that. But I do remember being in India. I spent nearly a year in India studying yoga. 1 year. It was such an amazing year. And I learned a lot about asana and pranayama, and also and also all sorts of things. And then I came back to Australia, and I did my doctorate of clinical psychology. So I was like kind of a year immersed in India in the teachings of yoga, and then I came back to ANU and did my doctorate in clinical psychology, which is very kind of clinical, mainstream, straight down the line kind of university and studies. But many of the practice, like some of the practices, were very similar. So in my doctoral program, we were being taught about breath retraining, whereas I just come back from India and we learned about pranayama. And in clinical psychology, like we learned at university, they teach all about CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, which is about looking at the cognitions and emotions and the way they affect your behavior. And then in yoga, we have this whole process of self-inquiry and observing the thoughts and emotions. And so I think there's a lot of overlap. And I think to me, clinical psychology or psychology in general is becoming like they're coming closer and closer together, as things like mindfulness are becoming really mainstream and really well accepted. And yeah, definitely elements of yoga as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate that, because I also truly believe that wisdom of yoga, it's basically about mind, human mind, and how to reach the highest potential of the mind. Through understanding of ourself, we can reach that highest potential. And what is enlightenment? It basically, using your mind as a tool to reach that highest state of human being. That's what it is, according to my understanding. And I also heard a lot of time some yoga teachers will say that science is catching up. And I truly agree with that, because science is catching up, slowly and steadily. Because yoga, I think, looks at the whole bigger picture. And, have you heard about Ayurveda, the sister science of yoga?
Yes.
So that is also like very amazing when we link these two wisdoms together, and how it can really help us to move towards our optimal well-being, basically, and these both has been my passion for many, many years. And I think you are in similar boat, but your passions are psychology and wisdom of yoga. And I know that you're doing something special about it. So would you like to talk about what you offer and what is in pipeline for people to, see where can they learn about this? What are your offerings and all that? So please feel free to talk about that.
Oh, thank you, Sunita. I appreciate it. Yeah, the way that I see it, yoga is can be amazing for mental health. It can really support us as we're going through the struggles, through the challenging times, but it can also really support us to thrive in the world as well. But many yoga teachers are not taught about mental health and how to support their students experiencing mental health challenges, and not necessarily taught as much of the psychology or the positive psychology or that kind of self-realization and thriving part of it.
Yeah.
And so my mission is to make yoga classes like a safe, nourishing, and transformative space for people who are experiencing mental health challenges. And I'm doing that by supporting yoga teachers to understand more about mental health. So I'm teaching a training called Mental Health Aware Yoga. This is a training for yoga teachers who want to learn more about mental health and how to really create safe, nourishing, and transformative spaces for their students. And then we also so if you're a yoga teacher, I invite you to come and check that out. And if you're somebody who is interested in studying with practicing with a yoga teacher who has this knowledge, we also have a directory on our website as well, so you can find teachers who have that knowledge. So my mission is to really, like, my vision is to really make to support yoga teachers to really tap into that knowledge of yoga. So those classes are there for people, because I think that psychotherapy is great, medication is great for some people. Ayurvedic consultations are great as well. But there's something about yoga classes that is accessible for most people. Like, it's affordable. There's a lot of them around. You can do it in person. You can do it online. There's no stigma. Well, there's not a lot of, about going to a yoga class, whereas sometimes there is about going to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a doctor. So it's very accessible for many people. And often affordable for people as well, as opposed to a one-on-one consultation that can get expensive. And so I think it's wonderful that we can create these spaces that can be supportive of people's mental health.
Beautiful. And is this face-to-face, or do you offer online? Like, how is it offered, these sessions?
So pre-COVID, it was a hybrid model. So we have the lectures and things online, and then we come together for 3 days. Now, the last training we did was in Copenhagen in January 2020, and then COVID hit and we canceled the other trainings, and we created an online program. We haven't gone back to the face-to-face yet. I know that people are flying and gathering in groups. I'm personally just feeling like I'm not ready to be responsible for bring people together to travel and come together in groups just yet. I do plan to do that in the future, maybe next year. Just not, as I tune into my intuition on what feels right for me, that doesn't feel right yet. So at the moment, it's 100% online. So it's a 6-month program. It's self-paced. You watch all the lectures and try all the practices and the classes at your own pace. And then we come together once a month for group mentoring sessions, which is a real chance for connection. So, with it, when I created the online program, I wanted to really make it really accessible for people and easy, no matter what your schedule is, but also to have this kind of community component. So we come together in these group mentoring sessions on Zoom. We have a Facebook group that we connect in. And then also at the end of the training, each student has a one-on-one mentoring session with myself or one of our senior mentors. We have some amazing psychologists, yoga teachers who are mentoring, Annabelle McCliskey and Sandra Palmer.
Oh, beautiful. I'm also the same. I moved everything online with the COVID. Well, I was in process of moving online. Somewhere I had this intuition that I need to do stuff online. And just like you also listened to the intuition, and it was very clear. So I started moving things online, started getting training to how to do that. And having my computer background, it really helped to start doing that. And then COVID hit, and I'm like, oh, is this the reason? And so I did guide a few yoga teachers to move online, because not necessarily everyone was aware of Zoom and things like that. And now I also offer everything online, because I'm finding it very, there is a lot of uncertainty in face-to-face. And I also find that a lot of people prefer online. The reason for that is that they can do it in their own time. It's like easy for a lot of clients to do that. And also then they can do it from anywhere from in the world, so they can, do it in their at their pace and things like that. So I like that approach. Personally, I never thought I will do this online, but I also personally did some courses, like teachers who were not accessible online before everyone came online with this COVID situation. And actually, in a way, it's a blessing in disguise. I'm not saying about the suffering of COVID. I'm saying about the way we can now change learning, like the way we are learning now. It's different now. And I don't think we can ever go back to what was normal. Have you also noticed that clients, basically after the COVID now, we are still in the midst of it. We are still there. but there is a lot of like they're calling COVID exhaustion. You know, a lot of people are tired because they were just trying to survive during this COVID. So do you have any suggestions or anything they can, like, self-care ideas which you want to share, or do you have something like a program in that relationship, how they can connect with you about that? So would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. I mean, COVID has been hard. I don't,
Mm.
except maybe for the people who make masks and hand sanitizer. I think for the rest of us, it's been such a challenging few years. And I would even go so far to say that it's been traumatic. Maybe they're going to start talking about post COVID trauma or something at some point. But it's been a very traumatic experience to
Mm.
greater or lesser degrees, of course, because everyone has been impacted differently. And if you have a home and you have a job, you can work from home and you have an income, it's very different than if you don't have those things. But we all have been affected, and a lot of, a lot of it is around, we thought we knew how to do life. We thought there was this certainty about things, which, if we practice yoga and we understand the teachings of yoga, we know that everything is impermanent and there is no certainty. But at some level, we we believe that we knew how things were going.
Yeah.
And COVID has shaken that for so many of us. The ground beneath us has changed. What we thought we held for granted no longer.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's been a real time of reassessment for many of us. And then also all the practical things about how I'm going to pay my bills. How am I going to move house in lockdown? What if my marriage is falling apart, but I can't leave because we have to be like all these kind of questions that are coming
Yeah.
up for so many people that have been on a very practical level, really challenging as well. So I guess the first thing would be to normalize it and acknowledge it. If you are feeling some trauma or residual trauma as a result of what we've been going through the last few years, know that you're not alone
Yeah.
in that, and perhaps bring some compassion, if you
Yeah.
can, some self-compassion to that, because it has been a tough,
Mm.
it's been a
Mm.
tough few years.
Everyone on earth suffered, everyone, every human being has affected by this trauma, and
Yeah,
we need to acknowledge that, I think. And what you're saying is absolutely right, that acceptance is the key, as we say in yoga. So
yeah,
this is the acceptance. And okay, so we accepted, then what can we do
yeah,
about it?
yeah. Okay, so the next step I would say is to ask yourself the question, what do I need?
Mm. Mm.
And I like to do this as a practice each morning, but we can also kind of pause throughout a day and ask this question. And really, instead of getting too heady about it and say, well, I should do an hour yoga and like have a bath and paint my toenail, whatever it is, have a massage. Instead of let go of all the shoulds that you think you should be doing around self-care or your to-do lists, and instead ask the question, what do I need?
Mm.
And see what bubbles up. And it
Beautiful.
might be a massage or a day spa or something, but it might be a sleep in, or it might be I need to call my mom, or it
Mm.
might be I need to book a session with Sunita and talk about an Ayurvedic prescription, or um, there is no one thing that we need to do, but I
Yeah.
really believe we need to be asking this question: what do I need? Not what I should do, but what
Mm.
do I need in this moment? What do I need? And
Mm.
then do that.
Mm.
So it
Beautiful.
might be yoga, it might be something else. I really think, like, when we talk about self-care, self-care has become really commercialized and
Mm.
a bit of a thing. But I think, if for me, self-care is asking myself in each moment, what do I need? And
Mm.
being willing to give myself that.
Beautiful. Very well said. Very well said. As you know, I do a lot of mentoring for yoga teachers as well as individual who wants to move towards optimal health, but also for heartfelt business and a combination of business and personal growth. And in my experience, I've seen that people. So I wasn't offering that for some time in between, like. Because I was going through my own health issues. I had Ross River virus, and I
Oh,
was
wow.
going through that, and a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. So I had stopped it that time, and then, but I'm getting requests now, and people are asking because what's happening is now that we have gone through that actually peak of COVID, it didn't give us time to start thinking about, like, how do I do self-care. It was like people were just trying to wrap the brain around everyday
Yeah.
things, like every day, like
Bible mode.
people say, like kids were at home, homeschooling, yoga business. A lot of, I have seen that a lot of yoga studios are closing down because of the government rules, or the distance, that we had to keep. So there was not enough clients in the room, and all this thing has affected emotionally, mentally, and also physically,
Mm.
because we had rule of not going out, 5 kilometer rule and things like that. So it has affected us tremendously, and now people are coming out of the woodworks, we can say,
Yeah.
and as you said, like acknowledging that I have been through this, and I need help. So I thought, okay, I need to offer this again. So I'm offering this, and all I can see is that everyone has gone through a lot of suffering, and as you said correctly, that it is trauma. It feels like, the mental state is literally that, how the trauma, and it has been all of us, like not just one person, but we all react to it differently. So this is where I think yoga and ayurveda can really help. Yoga is all about the energy, so if your energy is down, it helps to uplift. And also ayurveda's routines, food, help to bring in prana more. So this is what I think people need. And on that note, would you like to talk about the yoga summit you have, mental summit, and yoga, because you're doing amazing job, and let us know like how it started, what's it's going to be. I'm going to shut up now and let you talk.
Oh yeah, so the summit, it's an online summit, and again, it felt like the right time to be doing things online rather than coming together. But also we have teachers from all over the world, so it enables us, that enables that component as well. So it's the Mental Health and Yoga Summit. We have Sunita is going to be coming and sharing on that, which I'm so excited to share your session, Sunita. So it starts on the 29th of August and it runs over 5 days. It's free, it's online. And yeah, if you want to come and join us, it's at mental health and yoga summit.com. Really, I really wanted to hold a space where we can have courageous conversations about mental health in the yoga world. I think it's always been needed, but perhaps needed more than ever now, given what we've been going through, but given also the way that we're talking more about mental health now, which I'm really excited about. There used to be a lot of stigma about mental health, but now it seems to be a lot of people are talking about it in the media, in the news. Like, for example, the AFL, the Football League, has like mental health programs and anti-suicide programs. Things are shifting, and which really excites me. And I wanted to create a space where we can have some of these conversations in the yoga world. I also wanted to create a way that this work is accessible for everybody. So yes, we have a training, and that costs money to come and join, although we will have a scholarship program for that. But this summit, anybody, as long as you've got a device and an internet connection, you can come and learn from some of the most amazing teachers that are speaking on the summit.
And how did it started, the thought of like, I know this is it second year, if I'm not mistaken? Second
Yes,
year.
the first one was January this year, and then the next one is going to be the end of August, September.
Okay, okay.
How did it start? This is something I wanted to do for a long time, but I don't know if you've ever done anything like this. It is a massive amount of work to put together. So when it was just me working away at my computer, it didn't feel possible. Now I am blessed to have an amazing team of people who work with me. My husband works with me, and then I also have 3 other amazing women who support me with this. So it's a team effort, and we do it. We do it together. And so it's something that I've always wanted to do, but didn't feel I had the capacity to do it by myself. And now I have this team of brilliant women and my husband. Finally able to make it happen. And I have to say, like, I'm creating it. To bring awareness to mental health in the yoga world. But I have to say, personally, it has been, 1, a lot of work, but 2, really cool to have these conversations with people, and a lot of kind of conversations and things go on in the background before we show up and have the discussions that we share as part of the summit. But it's felt like like a master's degree for me, like having these conversations and working out how to put it together and navigating all the things that go on to put something like this together.
Amazing. Yeah, I can just imagine how much effort it must have taken to do this, because I offer teacher trainings, and I offer, and I know that it's very much, so much effort go into that. It like years and years of thought process first, and then bringing it together. And also I'm glad that you have some support, because without support, it's just you doing it, it becomes too much, it's
That wouldn't be good for my mental health.
yes. And it's really amazing that you're offering this opportunity for those who want to have this option for free, and also a taste of what you're offering. So then if they want to go ahead and book sessions with you or your team members, teachers you have. So that's really amazing, because a lot of time people don't know that, these amazing people exist, so you're giving them opportunity to experience that. And from my side, I'll definitely talk about the work you're doing. And this is really amazing, the mental health and yoga. And as you said earlier, that it needed to be done. It was necessary to put it out there, because I think that what happened in yoga, I'm going to call industry, which really hurts my heart, but that's what it is, that's what it has become. And in modern yoga trainings, 200 hours or 300 hours. And it's really, we're talking about wisdom, years and years, thousands of years of wisdom into 200 hours. It's not possible to give them everything from the teacher's point of view, I have done 200-hour, 300-hour, 500-hour teacher trainings. And so this is a lifelong journey. And so people who have done 200-hour teacher training are also called yoga teachers, and who have done 300 or 500 or 800 are also called yoga teachers.
Yeah.
And this is when it's very interesting, when the client go and learn from, teacher with that few years of experience, and they may not find the offering, which is basically come with understanding of what is mental health, how it needs to be, like ahimsa, the concept of ahimsa. So I'm glad that you are explaining what it is, and you're also teaching and sharing and showing that. And I'm so glad that you're doing program for that, because it's very important for yoga teachers to understand this value, what yoga has. The 8 limbs of yoga is basically guideline towards moving towards your optimal mental health, as well as physical and emotional health. And when we see what is yoga is, usually it is looked at as just the physical side. And that's what, when we look at social media, I'm talking about very shallow image of yoga. But as we know that it is deeper than that, and I'm glad that you're offering this for those who are curious about it. Would you like to talk about a little bit like why or how this whole took place in your mind, why you decided to do it?
Ah, this has been something that I was thinking about for many, many years.
Hmm.
You know, I don't know. It's funny, like question. Where did it like why did I don't know. I just
When
did.
it start, yeah, I think.
And it was quite, there's a psychology world over here and the yoga world over there. But for me, they fitted beautifully together. And again, like I was teaching yoga classes, like yoga for depression and yoga for anxiety classes. And I really enjoyed teaching them and I got really great feedback from the students. But really, I thought, what am I like? I'm not really teaching anything any different than a regular yoga class. You don't actually need to have a clinical psychologist teaching a yoga class for it to be helpful for mental health. Now, I do think there is a time and a place for specialized classes with people with specialized mental health training like psychology or social work or psychiatry or whatever it is. But I also think that a general yoga class can
Okay.
have an amazing impact on mental health that doesn't need to be run by a mental health professional, but rather a yoga teacher who understands mental health. And there's beauty in going to a yoga class over psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is great, 100%, but there's something about stepping out of the story,
Hmm.
stepping into your body, residing back in your body, being present with yourself and not in the story of it, that one can be really empowering and two can be really healing
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So I was teaching these classes and thinking, why am I doing this? Like, it's not really any different to what I would teach in a normal class. And so that's where I thought, well, but then I went to some regular classes. I went around to lots of different classes thinking, well, what are people teaching? And I was just a little bit horrified by some of the things that were going on in classes. And I thought, well, yoga has this amazing capacity to
Mhm.
support with mental health. But the way that it's taught by some people, but in some circumstances, actually can be detrimental to people's mental health. And so it was then, I guess, that the idea was born to educate yoga teachers, so all yoga classes can be these safe and nourishing places for people to come.
I totally understand that. When I teach yoga teacher training, I always teach my students that ahimsa, ahimsa,
Mm.
ahimsa. Keep in your mind ahimsa in everything, your speech, the way you will treat your client, the way you noticing what's happening in the body. There is no, so everyone wants in, in yoga teacher training, when they enroll first, they thought, I'm going to get formula,
Yeah, yeah.
So I have to tell them that there is no formula. The only thing you're going to focus on is ahimsa.
I
And
love
once you
that.
start focusing on ahimsa, you start noticing that the ahimsa in your speech, ahimsa in your action,
Mm.
ahimsa in your mind, about everything. When we have this non-violence, this concept is so powerful. Just working with that is really life transforming. And your clients sense that. Your clients sense that you are there 100% when you're teaching. And again, I talk about the boundaries as well. Like, it's very important to have boundaries, because sometimes yoga teachers start giving too much, and so where they
Yeah.
need to understand that, the boundaries about the time, about their own self-care, their own understanding, the regular studies. And that's why mentoring is very necessary. Like, I personally have my guru, who is, I can call mentor.
Mhm.
And then I also have friends who are in this world, yoga world, with whom I can speak freely about, about my issues coming up, because yoga teachers place sometimes is very lonely. This
Mm.
side of the mat, as I say, is very lonely. So we need our sangha,
Yeah.
our community. And I think you are creating this community online, and offering this beautiful opportunity to share this wisdom of yoga from different angles. I think, different speaker will have their own understanding, and it's really amazing how this program you have put together is going to help so many.
Mm.
So how many people last time when you offered this, how many people were there? What you
How many speakers or how many people joined us for the summit?
How many people joined you?
We had around 4,000 people join us for this.
Oh, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. There was a lot of kind of energy behind it as well. We got a lot of emails, we had a Facebook group. There was a lot of kind of connection and community and comments and questions and things going on there as well. So it felt really exciting to be part of it, actually.
Beautiful, excellent. Because Sangha, the like-minded people, it's a different energy, which uplifting for everyone. So really, thank you from bottom of my heart that you're offering this
Thank
to
you.
us, basically.
Yeah, it's
I-
really interesting like the yoga teachers and mental health professionals who are attracted to this work, the mental health and yoga work. When, I find when I teach, particularly when we come together, but also in the online spaces as well, people say, I feel like I've found my tribe. I feel like I found my people. And there's something about yoga teachers and health professionals that are interested in this intersection that when they come together, they feel like, oh, finally I found my people. So that's
yeah.
really, really delightful to hold that container where that can come together. And I think I needed that for myself as well. And so that feels really nice for me as well.
I think you found the people who speak your language, and the tribe also speaks the same language. This
Yeah.
is what I felt when wherever I moved, like I was in US and I was in India as well as here and Bali, and wherever there is a yoga community, like-minded people, I feel at home, like there is no pretense, there is all this is basically comes from the heart, and this offering from the heart is absolutely powerful and life transforming for many people. Can you give us idea, like what are the topics roughly we are looking at, like top of your head, just few topics for this yoga and mental health summit?
Oh, okay. Let me think. I should have it written in front of me, but I
I
don't.
put you on spot.
Okay, so let me think. So Jivana Heyman is coming and talking about accessible yoga. Heather Mason is going to be talking about yoga in healthcare. Annika Sips is talking about bringing yoga into the doctor's office. Who else? Oh, I should have it in front of me. Who else are we having? Nikki Myers is talking about yoga and addiction. Dr. Ariel Schwartz, who does some amazing work. She's talking about polyvagal theory and yoga. We have about 20 presenters. Shall I go on, or does that feel enough?
Yeah, if you don't have to like list all of that. I just thought
And you're coming and talking about mental health and the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Who else? Nicola, who we were talking about before, Nicola Ellis will be talking about psycho-oncology.
Beautiful.
Saraswati Basudeva will be talking about yoga and trauma. Lots more people. We have about 20 speakers.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like those who are listening, please visit the website. Would you like to talk about the website where they can find the speakers and the date?
Yeah,
like that?
sure. So we are just finalizing the speakers. They'll be up. All the speakers will be up on the website. They're currently not, but they will be very soon. So you can go to mentalhealthandyogaSummit.com or go to the Mental Health Aware Yoga website. There's a link there, mentalhealthawareyoga.com. And there's a little spot where you can sign up. We haven't opened registration just yet for the summit, but that'll be opening up soon. So it'll start on the 29th of August, and you'll have access to all the interviews over 5 days.
Beautiful. So what I will do is I will put the links in my bio. In the show notes, so that people can have those links, and also your information, like where they can find you. We can add that into the show notes as well. So that way,
Fantastic.
people who have any other questions in relation to mental health and yoga, or want to do any advanced work with you, like I'm sure they can, look at your website and book in session. Is
Mm.
that the way to go to book your appointment with you?
Yeah, I mean, head to the mentalhealthawareyoga.com website. So we have the summit in August. We're going to be doing the 60-hour online training in September. So that'll start then. We also have a shorter training. It's a kind of a self-paced 6-hour course called Introduction to Yoga and Mental Health, when you can start whenever you like. So that's kind of to get a taste of what we're doing here and seeing if it's for you. That's on the Mental Health Aware Yoga website as well. We also posting video blogs every week on the website. Sunita joined me for one a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about, can I call myself a yogi, which is a great topic. So if you're curious, go and listen to Sunita over there. And that's often me talking, or it's often guests that come and talk about some interesting stuff as well. Yeah, that's probably the best way. I love doing these summits. We will probably do them maybe once a year from now on. I mean, we'll see how we go. But so if you're listening to this episode later and it's already past the 29th of August, 2020, go and check it out anyway, because chances are we'll be running another one at some point.
All right. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that you will be doing this every year because it's much needed.
Don't hold me to it, but I'm enjoying it. As long as it's feeling good, we'll keep doing it.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. It may happen.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you giving
Thank
us
you for
time.
having me.
Thank you. And it's just amazing. I always love talking with you, and it's just your beautiful energy, and communicating with you is really amazing. So thank you. And I think let's end the podcast here. And please, listeners, please look at the show notes for more information. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Bye.